What is best, train or bus? Today we're going to consider that question on the East Coast Main Line between Edinburgh and Berwick-upon-Tweed. Now obviously the train is much faster than the bus, but does it actually come down to price, or are there some comfort factors and stopover factors that you might want to consider as well? I do hope you'll join me as we hop on the train from Edinburgh down to Berwick. Train leg this morning, we're actually travelling with TransPennine Express. Now that might fill a lot of people with horror because TransPennine Express have a notorious reputation for cancellations and delays, but to be perfectly honest, over the last couple of years I've found them to be absolutely fine. We're going to time the journey down to the second, so we've got a useful comparison from when we get on the bus. So here we go, on our way to Berwick-upon-Tweed.
I had a brief look at it yesterday. The logs suggest that there's some heavy gradients running before in
The seats on these trains aren't exactly the most comfortable. I find them too hard and very, very upright. I prefer a little bit of recline. However, the legroom is superb. And this journey is only a little under an hour, so it doesn't really matter, does it? And the tray table is most adequate. It even has this useful extension for laptops. We're just about to stop at Dunbar, and this lovely coastal town is pivotal for the return journey later on the bus. Now, it won't be long before we start to see some of the spectacular scenery that this stretch of the East Coast Main Line is known for. Although the views are fantastic, they do fly by so fast, don't they, when you're on the train? Maybe the bus will give us more time to enjoy the views on the way back. And before you know it, we're on approach to Berwick-upon-Tweed. Welcome to Berwick-upon-Tweed. That was a very swift 49 minutes 22 seconds at a cost of £11.90. Well, the bus is bound to be cheaper, isn't it? Well, it might not be much cheaper than you think. I do love Berwick-upon-Tweed railway station. Absolute old school classic. And I absolutely love that LNER flower pot. Talking of LNER, just look at the initials woven into that fabulous ironwork. Of course, the advantage of the train is its speed. Also, those TransPennine Express trains have a trolley service so you can buy food and drink. Is it about the comfort? Well, those seats are not the best seats. So is it down to price and is it down to timing? That's the type of Borders bus we're going to be getting on our journey back to Edinburgh, but there is a complication. Borders buses now no longer go all the way from Berwick-upon-Tweed to Edinburgh, so we're going to have to change somewhere en route. Well, it might make for a more interesting journey. We're not getting this bus, we've got an hour till the one that we're booked on, so time to go for a little walk down from the station into Castlevale Park. Down the steps. Whenever I come to Berwick-upon-Tweed, I always try and make a point of coming down onto the riverside to see this magnificent bridge. Welcome to the Royal Border Bridge. This incredible viaduct was built between 1847 and 1850 and opened by Queen Victoria. The views of Berwick-upon-Tweed as you go over that viaduct on the train are simply magnificent, but you really have to see the viaduct from both angles. Right down here at the base of the structure, it's simply superb, isn't it? The East Coast Line is so busy you don't have to wait long to see a train shoot majestically across the top of the viaduct. From the other side of the viaduct, not only do we get fabulous views of the River Tweed, but here is Berwick Castle, the ruins of Berwick Castle. I just love the way the walls go all the way up the hillside. Look at that. Okay, we're back at Berwick-upon-Tweed railway station. We're waiting for the 253 bus. That isn't it, but that's where it'll stop. Think this one might be us now. Well, he hasn't got his illuminated sign on, but I'm thinking this is the 253. Well, he's leaving it till the last minute. Doors are closed and still no sign. Okay, rather grumpily, the driver told me not to stand where it says bus stop, but to go and stand outside the station. And here he comes. Right, we're on our way back to Edinburgh. These seats are really quite comfortable, though the legroom is nowhere near as good as it was on the train. There was a little bit of a mix-up with the ticket there. I bought my ticket on the Borders bus app, but the driver couldn't scan it properly. Anyway, no problem, we're on our way. So let's sit back and see if we can admire the scenery through these very, very dirty windows. On the bus, I don't think we're actually as close to the coast as we are on the train, so the views might not be as good from the bus. Probably would be better if it was a double-decker, of course. We are going to be taking a much longer and more scenic route on the bus. We're going to be passing through coastal villages like Bournemouth, towns like Eyemouth, where there are some fabulous fish and chips, all the way back up the east coast to Edinburgh. That's why I think it's going to take a lot longer than 49 minutes 22 seconds on the bus. How long do you think this journey will take? Not sure whether we'll get a glimpse of Eyemouth Harbour. Oh, there, just a tiny glimpse of the sea as we went past. These are the sort of little towns you miss when you go on the train. One thing to bear in mind, these are local bus services, so there are no toilets on board. In fact, there's only one long-distance bus service between Berwick-upon-Tweed and Edinburgh every day, and that's with National Express, and that wasn't leaving for another 6.5 hours, so I decided Borders buses was the way to go. So remember, no toilets, don't have too much to drink before you get on one of these buses if you're going a long distance. This little village we're just coming into here is called Reston, and they opened a train station here a few years back. It really is in the middle of nowhere, but it's very handy for Eyemouth and St Abbs and Bournemouth, but you sort of have to rely on this bus once you've got off the train. I'm not sure how popular Reston station is because the trains aren't that frequent at stopping here, plus this bus is only once every 2 hours, so you're sort of stuck if you don't get the two to connect together. Borders buses used to do a direct service all the way from Berwick-upon-Tweed to Edinburgh. However, just recently they've changed it. Now it terminates at Dunbar. So we're going to have to change buses at Dunbar. We're going to have to get on a Lothian East Coast bus for the remainder of the journey to Edinburgh. But the good news is we have a through ticket using the Borders buses app. Well, fingers crossed. Well, thanks very much. Welcome to Dunbar. It's taken us 1 hour 14 minutes to get here, and I'm not going to turn off the stopwatch because the layover is part of the journey. We've got about 15 minutes until our connecting bus with Lothian East Coast to Edinburgh. I have to say that for views of the coastline between Edinburgh and Berwick-upon-Tweed, you just can't beat the train. However, the advantage of the bus is you get to see lots of really quaint, beautiful little towns and villages on the way back. Dunbar is a gorgeous little town, well worth a visit. I have done videos about Dunbar on the channel before. I particularly love the Dunbar townhouse. Isn't that splendid? With its Christmas tree and the statue of John Muir. Here comes our East Coast bus. Oh, I was hoping it was going to be a double-decker. That's a bit disappointing. Yeah, you can't beat a double-decker upstairs right at the front for fabulous views, can you? Ah, well, we'll be fine on this single-decker. Still, at least, the windows on this bus are spotlessly clean. Just going through Haddington, and look at that gorgeous blue sky. I think it's been a lovely day here in Scotland all day, whilst it's been pretty miserable down where we've been in Berwick. Well, the sun's starting to go down now, and we are definitely approaching golden hour. That sky is fabulous, isn't it? We're getting very close to Edinburgh city centre now, and I've managed to bag the front seat of the bus, so we should get some good views as we approach Princes Street, but also plenty of views of the queues and the traffic lights. How do you think we're doing time-wise?
Next stop, St Andrew's House.
Well, we're nearly at our stop, so I'm going to stop the clock now. Thanks a lot. Welcome back to Edinburgh. We're in the shadow of the Scott Monument and the Starflyer. Yep, it's way after Christmas, but the Christmas market is still absolutely rammed. So, how do you think we did time-wise? That took 2 hours 51 minutes. That's a lot longer than I was expecting, although we were delayed on the run into Edinburgh. There was a lot of traffic, so the bus was about 20 minutes past its scheduled arrival time. The bus from Berwick-upon-Tweed to Edinburgh cost £11.33. Actually, only 60p cheaper than the train. The train took 50 minutes, the bus took nearly 3 hours. So when it comes down to price, speed is always going to be the deciding factor, isn't it? If you want to get here quick, it's going to cost you the same. However, if you want to take that extra time to see some villages and some towns that you wouldn't ordinarily see from the train, go on the bus if you've got the time. It's a gorgeous journey. But I do have to say that the views of the coast from the trains are the absolute best. The train's much closer to the coast and the views are stunning. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to find out more about Berwick-upon-Tweed, I'm putting up a link to one of the videos I did earlier where I did a proper exploration of the town. Thank you. I'll see you on the next one for some more travel adventures and a little drop of history.